Nik Nur Azmina punya answers tu. Apa komen you all? So this is for discussion purpose ya. Jangan terasa hati pula kalau komen you punya jawapan ni ya, untuk kita belajar sama-sama, okay? So the bank need to show the Syariah principle used in the annual report which not involve any prohibited things. Any comments on the first answer by Nik Nur Azmina? Yang tu menjawab tak soalannya? Ada komen apa-apa tak? Terima tak jawapan tu? Ramai ni tak ada respons ke? Apa sebenarnya Islamic principles dalam disclosure? Dalam Islam, apa requirement dia?
Follow Syariah Allah.
Syariah?
Follow the Syariah law, which
Okay, follow Syariah law tu yes. Tapi sekarang dia, isu dia sekarang ni dalam disclosure. Kalau disclosure, you boleh relate kepada apa? Kenapa perlu adanya disclosure? Kenapa perlu ada disclosure?
For user to understand what the activity of the bank.
Okay. So disclosure for the benefit of stakeholder. Apa lagi?
To reflect the bank, the status of the bank, whether it is making profit or loss.
Okay.
Ensure the Islamic financial institution is within the Sharia compliant.
Okay. To inform on the financial position and Sharia compliance of the company. Sekarang ni kepentingan disclosure tu sendiri dari segi Islam ni apa? Untuk being transparent kan? Kalau dalam corporate governance punya Islamic perspective of corporate governance, apa point dia?
Yang IOF itu ke mana?
Bukan.
Ada tu.
Corporate governance dari segi Islam ni apa point dia? Fundamental dimensions of corporate governance from Islamic perspective. Apa dia? Ada yang tahu?
Madam, kalau to ensure transparency, fairness and accountability.
Boleh. Cuma sekarang ni kita nak tahu Islamic principles ni dulu. So kita boleh relatekan dengan being transparent ke, nak tahu performance company ke. Kita nak tahu dulu yang Islamic principles punya requirementnya apa untuk governance ataupun untuk disclosure. Supaya kita boleh relatekan dengan point-point ni lah. Faham tak maksud saya ni? Apa Islamic principles yang relate?
The activity of the bank based on legitimate trade, and it is not the haram thing.
Okay. Okay, sekarang ni kita tahu soalan ni adalah soalan corporate governance. Dan kita tahu ini relate kepada disclosure. Ya, sebab kita ada buat assignment sebelum ni kan, dalam assignment kita ada buat analysis of annual report. Dalam annual report tu you tahu the bank show this kind of information which is to show their commitment to CSR, to donation and so on. Okay, how this actually relate to Islamic principles? Kita dah tahu Islamic principles tu comply with Syariah. We need to have the use of Syariah contract. That is from the perspective of the transaction. Now we are looking at Sharia compliant from the perspective of governance and disclosure. So in terms of governance, in terms of disclosure, what are the principles? That's what I mentioned. The foundational dimensions of corporate governance from Islamic perspective. Okay, yang you tahu apa dia? From the slide. Apa dia?
Tauhidik epistemology.
Tauhidik epistemology, syurotic process. So yang kita boleh ambil yang mana yang relate to this context. Okay. Stakeholder oriented approach, ethical dimensions of corporate governance, social responsibility dimension. Okay. Ataupun you nak gunakan the comparative between Western and Islamic, boleh juga. But now let's katakan kita ambil from foundational dimensions of corporate governance from Islamic perspective, katakan kita ambil stakeholder oriented approach. Okay. Okay, dalam stakeholder oriented approach ni apa? Apa requirement dia? What are the requirement? What are the criteria or what are the explanation of stakeholder oriented approach? Stakeholder oriented approach. Apa dia?
The governance style and structures protect the interests and rights of all stakeholders.
Okay. Ayat pertama tadi apa? The
Governance style.
governance style. Governance model, ya. The governance model of IFI ataupun Islamic banking. The governance model of Islamic banking is stakeholder oriented approach where the bank protect the interest of their stakeholders by disclosing the information as shown in the question. It illustrates, apa yang dia illustrates ni? Apa kaitan dia ni? Ifam tak apakah kaitan activity of this amount contributed to the stakeholder? Dia menunjukkan apa? Kalau kita buka annual report, kita nampak information ni, kita akan kata bank tersebut apa? Apa yang dibuat kepada stakeholder?
Madam, is it mean the dividend given to the stakeholder?
Bukan, ini bukan dividen, ini dividen tu dia memang kena bagi. Ini adalah voluntary. Voluntary je dia nak keluarkan 1.1 million ni untuk CSR. Dia volunteer sahaja untuk bagi sedekah 600,000 plus ni. Kalau kita tahu any institution do this contribution, maksud dia apa?
Is it related to share price? Like bila company tu buat CSR ke apa, so macam macam mana? Bila company tu buat CSR, so macam company tu sendiri in a good, having a good financial semua, sebab tu dia boleh buat CSR and then buat sedekah semua. Saya tak jumpa perkataan dia nak describe benda tu.
Saya faham maksud you tu, tapi Dia tidaklah, okay, bila company tu buat CSR maksudnya dia banyak duit. Bukan macam tu. Tak semestinya macam tu. Kenapa company buat CSR?
To help the community.
It illustrates the bank's commitment to help community. Such as to help community, for example, soalan ni you boleh you can actually discuss from two perspective. Satu, disclosure dia. Satu, apa content kepada disclosure tersebut. Ini stakeholder oriented approach ni adalah content dia. Content dia maksudnya the bank is showing that they spend so much money untuk good deeds, untuk CSR dan sebagainya. Itu content dia. So when the bank donate, it shows that they protect the interest of the community, which is actually relate to stakeholder oriented approach. Is it clear? Boleh faham tak?
Boleh.
Ada siapa lagi tak clear dengan jawapan ni? Kenapa itu boleh jadi jawapan? Okey, katakan I nak kaitkan dengan perkara yang kedua, which is social responsibility dimension. Dia point dia lebih kurang sama dengan yang kat atas jugalah kan.
Maksudnya doktor dia punya yang CSR tu ke?
Saya rasa yang atas ni macam sesuai untuk social responsibility dimension. Tapi boleh juga sebenarnya, jawapan tu boleh tapi dia sesuai kat bawah. Okay, social responsibility dimension ni sebut apa?
Dia ada mention pasal yang takwa dimension yang an important factor motivating the individual to contribute socially.
Okay. This dimension relate to taqwa, which relate to taqwa, which can, macam mana kita nak kaitkan? Which is the social obligation by the bank on voluntary basis. Okay. By disclosing the information as showed, dia menunjukkan apa?
The disbursement to the Sadaqah house.
Okay. So here, from the perspective of the content lah, dia menunjukkan bank tersebut show the amount that they contribute to CSR, to donation. So it can be relate to social responsibility dimension, which relate to taqwa, voluntary basis, and so on. Okay, the third one, ethical dimension. Mana nak tulis lagi ni ya? Kat sini lah. Itu ethical dimension nak cerita pasal apa? If the bank show this amount that they contribute to CSR and Sadaqah house, how can we actually relate to this, to ethical dimension? How can we say it being ethical doing that by disclosing this amount? Did you get my question?
Madam, kalau cerita pasal ihsan,
Kalau
cerita pasal ihsan.
cerita pasal ihsan, macam mana nak kaitkan dengan ihsan? Dalam artikel ni ada ihsan ke? Okay, ada pasal ihsan, benevolence. Okay, so macam mana nak kaitkan dengan ihsan? So you say ethical dimension relate to the benevolence or ihsan ethics. So macam mana dia the bank actually perform ihsan by disclosing this amount? Ataupun how actually the bank being ihsan, being benevolence by disclosing this amount? Macam mana?
The bank performs good deeds by contributing a huge amount of money in CSR activities and Sadaqah House with realization that Allah is watching them all the times.
Okay, semula ya. I tak ni tadi. This dimension where the bank apa?
Perform good deeds by contributing huge amount of money in CSR.
CSR. Okay. Okay. Ada lagi nak kaitkan? Ataupun yang ni macam I nak tambah if you want to protect the interest of their stakeholder, by disclosing the information, it illustrate the bank's commitments to transparency. It shows the bank macam ada you cakap tadi, the bank has a good financial performance, that's why they can contribute kan. It shows the bank ability. Okay. Ataupun kalau you nak gunakan ayat yang ni, the bank can uphold the Islamic principles through by disclosing the amount the bank is being transparent on the use of money. Buatlah ayat sedap sikit. And this relate to stakeholder oriented approach, which is okay. The bank, by disclosing the bank shows their commitment to social obligation, which can be related to social dimension, social responsibility dimension. So you terangkanlah, social responsibility dimension is apa-apa. By disclosing the amount, the bank shows ihsan. Where ihsan is that relate to ethical dimension of corporate governance or Islamic banking. Okay. Kalau you bagi ayat yang macam ni, jelas sikit lah. Point dia adalah dalam tu. Dia point yang sama tapi being written in different way. Which this one is, I prefer this one lah. Okay. The bank can uphold the Islamic principle through ataupun by disclosing the amount. The bank is being transparent on the use of money. And this relate to stakeholder-oriented approach, which is, so you terangkanlah stakeholder-oriented approach where the bank protect the interest of their stakeholder. Okay. By disclosing the amount, the bank show their commitment to social obligation. Sorry for the spelling here. Which can be related to social responsibility dimension. Social responsibility dimension relate to taqwa. Okay, which is required for, which is a good element to be applied for Islamic banking, for example. Okay, by disclosing the amount, the bank show ihsan, where ihsan is that relate to ethical dimensions of corporate governance for Islamic banking. Okay, so ethical governance for Islamic banking, Any question?
Doktor,
Hmm.
yang pasal social responsibility dimension tu kan, kita boleh relate juga ke dengan yang critics over lack of social responsibility tu? Sebab dia kan ada mention yang Islamic finance ni selalu lack initiative by IFI to implement CSR, so kita boleh counter.
Okay, kalau you nak relatekan yang tu, it shows that actually it is not lacking lah. This particular bank is not, boleh?
Okay.
Any other question? Sekarang ni point dia, kita nak relatekan dengan Islamic principles ni. Kalau you bagi jawapan yang tadi, pointnya ada tapi dia tidak menjawab soalan ni. Ya, soalan ni tanya, explain 3 ways on how bank can uphold the Islamic principles ni by disclosing. Macam as I mentioned, by disclosing tu satu, you nak kaitkan dengan apa? Nak kaitkan dengan aktiviti dia, aktiviti bank tu sebut untuk contribute. So kita boleh kaitkan dengan dia social responsibility lah sebab dia bagi duit. You boleh kaitkan ethical dimension lah sebab dia ihsan. Ataupun you nak relatekan kepada action dia untuk disclose. Kadang-kadang ada company, tak tahulah, mungkin ada company dia bagi duit tapi dia tak nak masukkan dalam annual report. Tapi this one dia disclose dalam annual report to show or to be transparent, okay? So that the stakeholder knows that how actually the bank manage their money. This can relate to stakeholder oriented approach. Okay? Any questions? Any other questions? Even if you do not state satu-satu ni, tapi pointnya ada, yang mana you nak kaitkan dengan apa Islamic principles? Being to achieve maqasid syariah. To achieve maqasid syariah macam mana? Macam mana nak achieve maqasid syariah dengan cara dia buat benda ni? Anyone boleh fikirkan tak? Katakan yang you nak gunakan point to protect, to achieve maqasid syariah. How actually the bank can achieve maqasid syariah by disclosing this amount. Dalam maqasid syariah adalah protections of what, kan? So which one that you want to relate to? Which one? Any idea? Protection of what? Anyone? Ada sesiapa yang tahu?
To protect the people's that are need and the property of the bank. So the bank will contribute to the people that are more needs, and then it is better to give to the people that are need compared to give to someone that are not really need.
Maybe you can relate to protections of wealth tu boleh. Protection of wealth bukanlah protections of wealth for the bank, tapi for those whom that they give money to lah, kan? Ataupun you can relate to maqasid syariah for maslahah, public interest. Okay, so by disclosing this amount, it shows that the bank contribute money to public for corporate social responsibility, which can be relate to the protections of interest, public interest, maslahah. Maslahah, bila kita sebut maslahah, public interest, itu you can relate kepada maqasid syariah. Okay, ataupun you nak kaitkan dengan apa? Selain daripada ihsan, apa? Amanah, mungkin you boleh kaitkan dengan amanah. Why? Because being transparent, they show actually how they manage the money. Where do the money goes to? 1.1 million tu pergi ke mana? So it shows that dia berani untuk disclose that amount is actually goes to CSR activity. So it shows be amanah. Adil, justice, maybe it shows justice, so that they can protect the interests of those in need, for example. So you ambil saja. You can actually choose any Islamic principles and you can relate that to whatever has been done by the bank. So it can be anything lah, protections of property, boleh protections of property tu lah macam I cakap tadi, mungkin protections of property of those who receive the money lah. Ada yang belum clear lagi macam mana nak jawab soalan ni? Sebab tu you kena highlight kan dia nak apa sebenarnya, ya. Kenapa I tak boleh highlight? Okay, the Islamic principles, disclosing those amount. Any questions? So your answer can be anything lah. Tak semestinya solutions, suggested solutions yang I bagi ni. This one is okay. Kalau you nak relate kepada hablum minan nas, okay, boleh juga, because they help others, so they maintain a good relationship with humankind. So you can relate that to hablum minan nas, or maybe CSR relate to the protections of environment, so hablum minal alam, okay. Is it clear?
Yes, madam.
Okay. Yang lain? Yang tak respons tadi? Okay. So you faham. So, sebenarnya you tahu semua, you tahu, tapi that is the challenge of application punya question lah. Okay, dia kalau soalan face to face, I cuma akan tanya directly. Okay. What are the foundational dimensions of corporate governance from Islamic perspective? So you terangkan stakeholder and give example. So stakeholder oriented approach, apa dia? And then relate. Social dimension, apa dia? Relate. Example. Okay, ethical dimension apa? Example. Itu kalau face to face punya soalan. Tapi ni applications, applications dia terangkan the real practice ke? So macam mana you relatekan kepada apa yang you dah belajar lah. But of course, it will be analytical lah. You should be analytical lah. Yeah? Kat mana yang boleh relate. Okay. And then yang ni direct. Question B is I think direct lah. Discuss 3 approach by any FI to ensure their Syariah committee perform effectively. So maksudnya di sini the Syariah committee for that individual bank. Approach by the bank, yeah, approach by the bank. It is not approach by the bank negara, regulator kena buat macam mana, tak. Ini approach by the institutions. Anyone? Example? Boleh tarik jawapan? Saya just nak save dulu. Anyone? Ensuring appropriate procedure are in place to govern the Syariah committee deliberation. Boleh, okay. Tapi yang ni tak cukup, dia kena bagi example. Apakah appropriate procedure tu? Ini superficial, too general, too generic. Yeah? Ensuring that Syariah division are made well informed. Okay. Ensure tu kena bagi contoh macam mana nak ensure.
Okay.
Ensuring appropriate procedures are in place to govern the Syariah committee deliberation and proceeding. Maybe by proper enforcement, okay. Ensure Syariah decision or advice are made a sound and well-informed basis. Yeah? For example, a good dissemination of information, yeah, for all staff, for example. Ya. Decision dah buat, dah bagus, dah cantik, method dia dah okay, tapi tak sampai kepada staff. So to make sure that the properly disseminate the information. Number 3, okay, encouraging healthy discussion, participations. Yang ni saya akan bagi 9 lah jawapan ni. And tu putus, tak tahu apa sambungan dia.
Express and discuss.
Okay. Okay. Any other answers? Nine, because the first one to need more elaborations. Yeah.
Okay, Doctor.
Anyone would like to try to share your answer? Maybe you can refer to Syariah governance policy. Dalam Syariah governance policy tu, look at what are the requirements from the bank negara to the individual bank. What individual bank supposed to do to ensure Syariah compliant or to ensure their Syariah committee tu perform effectively. IFI always ensure their Sharia committee are competent by allocate sufficient resources. Okay. Okay, that one okay. No islah punya the first. Forgive cooperation. Okay. Second, okay. Good answer juga. Send for training. Boleh. Okay. Formal process to measure annual okay. Boleh. Okay, good answer. Boleh terima that one, you can get 10. Okay. Maybe you can also perform effectively. Yeah? Other answers might be Islamic financial institutions must follow all the requirement by Bank Negara Malaysia as stated in Syariah Governance Policy. For example, one, a proper appointment process, for example, ataupun cannot be more than 9 years, kan ada requirement tu kan, just to inform the examiner that you know about Syariah Governance Policy and their requirements. Boleh juga. Okay. Ini you tengok Syariah Governance Policy tu, apa requirement dia, yang mana relate kepada to ensure effectiveness. And then kalau dia tak relate kepada IFI sebut secara spesifik, you cakap lah IFI must in compliance with whatever requirement made by Bank Negara Malaysia that relate to Syariah Committee. So it helps to ensure Syariah Committee perform effectively. Any other answers for B? Soalan ni direct sahaja. You do not feel afraid untuk yang soalan yang A tu kan. Jangan you takut-takut nak rasa tak jumpa jawapan dekat mana dan sebagainya lah kan. Lepas tu you tinggalkan, you kosongkan ya. Please do not send me blank paper ataupun soalan yang tidak ada jawapan ya. Rugi. At least ada juga you terangkan anything ya that maybe can be accepted lah. Okay. So let's look at July 2021. We will discuss questions 2 later. Yang ni kita belum lagi kan. Ini macam lebih kurang kan ambil point yang sama. Annual report contribute more than 1.1 million for CSR and 6216969 was disbursed by Sadaqah House. Okay. 3 benefit of disclosing information on contribution to CSR and Sadaqah House disbursement for BIMB Holding Berhad. Anyone would like to share your answer for this question? Ni tak ada idea lah ni, ambil benda yang sama tapi soalannya lain. Okay. Anyone would like to try? Nak share jawapan kepada Julai 2021 question 3A. Cik sikit aku. Anyone? Dah buat ke soalan ni? Okay. Okay. Transparency, the benefit is to transparency, benefit of transparency apa?
The bank will give a clear and understanding of the user that refer to the bank.
Trust lah, trust. The benefit of disclosing information for BHB is first to gain trust, from the users of information, because by disclosing this information, the bank show their commitment to transparency. So transparency is important to comply with Sharia as Islam forbid concealing evidence. Okay, so dah okay. Okay, so your confidence you letak nombor 2 ya. Proper disclosure can promote confidence of the public and stakeholder in the credibility of FI, boleh. So, but then dia tak cukup tu. So maybe you can elaborate more. For customers, they may continue being or choose this bank's product. Investor may continue to invest in the bank, and investors also, investors will invest more in the bank because of proper disclosure that promote confidence. Okay. The diversity in practices are in different jurisdiction, the likelihood of consumer and the winners. Yang nombor 3 tu macam mana dia? Macam tak berkait pun.
It's like, for example, if there any conflict between the bank, such as the Sharia, for example, like this bank refer to the ujrah concept, and the other bank refer to tawarruk.
Oh, that one is not conflict. Itu boleh aja. And then again, this disclosure yang dibuat on CSR and sadaqah tu, it does not represent any fatwa conflict. Number 3 tu, I cannot see how it can relate to these answers lah. So number 1 and 2, okay.
Okay, Doctor.
Okay. How about others? Amir, how about your answer for this? Anyone else would like to share? "19 others." You buat ke tak ni? Kalau dalam kelas tu boleh round tengok sorang-sorang buat ke tak. Ni tak dapat lah. Okay, if not, then okay. 3 benefit. I cuba tengok benefit. Benefit. Okay, tu point ya. Transparent, public perceptions, promotion. Okay. Okay. B, discuss 3 recommendations to ensure that Sharia governance are practiced according to Sharia Governance Policy 2019 issued by the Bank Negara Malaysia. So you know that Sharia governance policy is the recent requirement. How can we ensure that it is being practiced accordingly? Anyone? Answers for B? The board need to ensure integration of Sharia governance consideration with business. Boleh. Boleh. Boleh ya? Jawapan Nik Nur Azmina tu boleh. Boleh accept. The board need to ensure integration or governance with race strategy, boleh. Update on the Sharia matters, boleh. Tapi yang tu cuma jawapan you ni boleh Nik Nur Azmina's punya answers ni can be accepted. But it is better for you to relate that to Sharia Governance Policy 2019 yang specific. What are the new requirements? Okay. So maybe sebab kalau macam those yang being highlighted tu does not highlight specifically on the new requirements. Okay. For example, maybe there is a need for the bank to go for training to understand the new requirements. Itu boleh. Okay. And maybe you should look at the Sharia governance policy new requirement dia apa. For example, on the management of Sharia committees meeting. So in order to ensure that bank comply with that particular requirement, there is a need to have a proper management, to have competent Sharia secretariat, so that the communication between Sharia committee and the board and the managers are properly done. Itu lebih tepat lah. Maksudnya yang ni sebenarnya I nak fokus kepada what are the new requirements in Sharia governance policy. So to ensure it is actually being done accordingly to that new requirement, what should be done. Okay. Okay. Other recommendation might be enforcement by Bank Negara Malaysia, perform internal audit, tone at the top, proper enforcement or instructions from the board to oversee that the bank is actually in compliance with the policy, okay, training, promotion, okay. Is it clear? Yes.
So that's mean the answer for this question, it is broad and general.
Tapi still that your answer tu boleh dapat 10 lagi.
Okay, Doctor.
Boleh dapat 10.
Thank you.
Okay, others? If you do not share your answer, you do not know whether it can be accepted or not. Kalau salah pun tak apa. Okay. But again, macam saya cakap, for the open book questions ni, your answers can be different from your friends, but as long as it is answering the questions or fulfill the requirement of the questions, okay, boleh. You jangan ambil apa yang you jumpa tu terus masukkan without a proper context tu tak kena dengan the questions punya requirement. Okay. To ensure Sharia governance are practiced according the bank, these are the actions that should be done by the particular party. For example, Bank Negara Malaysia kena buat apa? Enforcement. Boleh juga. Boleh juga kalau you sebab soalan ni tak cakap kan. Kalau soalan tadi dia sebut from whose perspective, but now it is not. So you can add here from the perspective of the regulator. Regulator, maybe enforcement. Enforcement to all FI. Okay. Maybe for that individual bank, perform audit. Bank and regulator training, awareness, conferences, seminars and so on. So all fully understand about the requirement. Tours and so on. Okay, so these are an example. It depends on how you plan your answer. You nak buat macam mana. Ini I bagi from different perspective. Contoh So plan your answer. Jangan you jumpa je, you terus je copy paste. And then pandai lah madam, you pilih jawapan yang mana daripada yang punya ni. Tak boleh lah macam tu Okay, any questions?
Madam,
Yes.
for question B, can we focus on the board's perspective? Because it needed 3 recommendations, so for all 3, for example, I focus on the board's perspective only.
Can? Apa dia yang you want?
For example, the board should approve policies relating to governance structure and reporting arrangements, Sharia non-compliant risk management and other areas that are material to the effective implementation of Sharia governance.
Okay.
Second, the board should oversee the implementation of SAC rulings and decisions or advice of the Sharia committee within all business and functional lines, including any business or risk implications arising from such implementation.
Okay.
And lastly, the board should also oversee the performance of senior management and other officers entrusted to implement Sharia governance framework, such that the board is satisfied that the measures of their performance are aligned with Sharia governance objectives.
Boleh? Poinnya boleh. Okay. Cuma better for you to specify in your explanation tu is about fulfilling the requirement of Sharia governance policy. Sebab tadi ada macam sebut Sharia governance framework. So that one actually yang lama. Faham tak?
Madam, okay.
Sharia governance policy ni kan yang baru. Sharia governance framework 2010. Ada one sentence dalam you punya jawapan tadi tu. Kalau tak silap dengar. It's about for them to comply with the Sharia governance framework. Okay. Sedangkan fokus soalan ni on the requirement of Sharia governance policy.
Okay, madam.
Itu sajalah. Okay. Any other answers? So sometimes that one can be from one, even though it is from one perspective from the board, tapi the way you elaborate, you can pecahkan 3, which is smart lah. Sebab sometimes students ada yang dia dah pool kan all points in one tu, so the second tu dia dah tak ada idea dah, sedangkan the first tu can be elaborate more so that we can have enough 3 points. Okay, and then again, please kalau minta 3, bagi 3, at least separate your points with paragraph. You nak letak numbering ke, ataupun you nak letak firstly, secondly, thirdly, proper lah ya. Jangan you buat jawapan tak ada paragraph, tak ada macam story pula ya. Please organize your answer accordingly lah. It is to ease the marking process. Any questions? Any other questions? So I hope that you already have an idea on how to answer the questions properly. Okay, because 10 marks is quite high marks, so please explain sufficient for the marks given. Kalau dah 10 marks at 3, satu ni mesti kena ada proper elaboration so that it is sufficient for me to give 3 or 4 marks. Janganlah one sentence saja. One sentence okay if they have 3 points in it. Tapi kalau panjang tapi duk repeat point yang sama, no marks lah. If there is no other questions, I think we end our discussion for today. InsyaAllah next week on risk, Syariah risk management. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you very much. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, madam.
Okay.
Next week.
Salam. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, Doktor.